I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the December Town Board meeting. Approval of minutes. Public hearing November 6, 2019, Continental Village Park and Water District budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye.
I abstain, I was absent.
Okay. Public hearing of November 6, 2019, general budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Abstained again, I was absent.
Okay. Committee reports, Conservation Board.
Okay, the Conservation Board met on November 12th. There was one item, a repeat item, Wallman. This is a property regarding a single-family residence. The difficulty here was while the property is large, the available building space outside of the wetlands 100 buffer zone was very limited. However, the result turned out extremely well between Michael Carr and Glenn Watson working with the Conservation Board back and forth. They were able to reduce the house size and reposition the garage and the septic system to place it outside of the buffer, and 75% of the reserve septic, that's the backup if necessary, is also out of the buffer. So this was a great example of two groups that were working together and being able to come up with a good result for both parties and being able to maintain the buffer zone, which is very important towards the wetlands itself. We're unsure at this time if there'll be a December meeting because there's no applicant up right this time. Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Mike. Recreation.
The Recreation Commission met on December 3rd and had agreed on a candidate to fill the vacancy on the commission, and we will be sharing his resume with the board, and hopefully at the next meeting we can adopt a resolution to appoint this candidate to fill that vacancy. The commission reported that the winter registration went well, and the programs are in progress for the winter. And the theater program ended its production of Young Frankenstein, which was a sellout. So they did very well, the Depot Theater. The ice rink is up and will be filled with water shortly. So there should be ice skating soon at the outdoor rink here at the Recreation Center. And the Friends of Philipstown Recreation reported that the pavilion has some remaining work to be done, plumbing and a well. In some new business, there were parents who recommended to the commission an indoor top park, and they're willing to volunteer to use a space upstairs and do all of the work to make that space usable for tots to play in the winter. And the commission approved that, and they will have some volunteers helping to get that room ready. The commission also discussed a meeting that they've had to continue discussions on a potential community garden in Philipstown.
Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.
Philipstown Hub.
The Philipstown Hub is planning to participate in First Friday in the Cold Spring Village, which is on Friday, the first Friday night of the month, and that's tomorrow night. And everyone is welcome to stop by. The doors of the Philipstown Hub will be open. And the next Philipstown Hub Coalition meeting will be January 8th at 3 p.m. at the Desmond Fish Library.
Thank you. Planning.
Okay, Planning Board, I attended the Planning Board November 21st, 2019. First, I'd like to give thanks to Andy Morani for his many years of service. He stepped down as the chair of the Planning Board, so I'd like to recognize Andy over the last 20, 25-plus years of service he's given to the community. Andy, you're going to be sorely missed, and very thankful for your service. We're moving on to that. We had a public hearing of Joel Hunt and William Potter. I've been reporting about this on the last several months. This is 201 Moog Road. The application is looking to put a 20 by 40 in-ground pool. The issue here was it's in a steep slopes area. As Mike always indicates, a lot of our property is steep slopes. We had a site plan visit there on October 27th. Well, the planning board, I also attended as well. All the questions that anyone had got rectified at that particular time. There was no comment whatsoever at the public hearing, so the public hearing was closed. Most likely, they'll be voting on approving on this next month's December 19th meeting. Old business, 1122 Route 9D, the golf station right up the road here, Nelson Lane and Route 9D. Again, I've been reporting on this probably 5 to 6 months now. They were looking to put a canopy over the top of the gas station, the pumps that they have outside. As of right now, that's the only gas station in Philipstown without a canopy. They also had an application in for accessory to selling used cars. They withdrew that application for selling used cars. And also last month, that public hearing was closed back in September. So everything is in order now. So the board approved the resolution, and they're going to be moving forward with that project. It was voted on 5-0. Claudia Moth Minor, 120 Skyline Drive. Also, I've been reporting on this about 4 or 5 months now as well. They're looking to build a 5,000 single-family home up on top of 120 Skyline Drive off of Horseman's Trail and Route 9. It's going to be a 2-story slab on grade. It's approximately 13.2 acres. They moved the house out of the steep slopes area, and I think that was probably a good idea that they did that. So that's not going to be in steep slopes anymore. The site was approved. Site visit was on August 27th. Public hearing was closed in October. The board also approved this application. The last and final thing on the agenda of that night was Daniel Schuban and Minnie Fortunato, 359 East Mountain Road. They're looking to applicant to modest house on a detached pre-existing lot. Was declared a minor project some months ago. The zoning board got the approval for a setback as well, for the setback for the rear variances. The home was going to be energy efficient, so it's going to reduce our carbon footprint. The applicant was prepared to be approved, but Kim Connor had to recuse herself from that meeting that night, and with that happening, there wasn't a quorum, so they could not vote on that. That's going to be on hold until next month as well. The next month is December 19th. Under new business, we just had a quick update from the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Just to let everyone know that they hired a consultant to help them work through the new plan and putting the documentation together and so forth like that. They got this funding, it was around $15,000, but it was no expense to the taxpayer here, as they got a grant for that money, for that process. So that's it. Meeting was adjourned at 9:05. Next meeting, December 19th.
Thank you, Bob. Zoning.
I attended the November 18th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Under old business, it was Rick and Mark Ventura, the ongoing One Lane Gate Road application. This review, by the request of the applicant, the applicant's attorney, this was postponed until the January 13th meeting. There was 2 reviews for completeness. Number 60 Lake Surprise Road. Applicant is seeking a variance to build a new 2-story accessory garage and guest house of 1,973 square feet. This application was deemed complete and referred to the public hearing on January 13th also. Next was Jose Romeo, resident of Route 9D. The applicant was seeking a review of the zoning code for a building permit issued for his neighbor at 529 Route 9D in Garrison. This application was also found complete and referred to the January 13th meeting.
Thanks, John. Building and land, the start for the hazardous materials removal from Town Hall is next week, right?
Monday, yep.
Monday.
We still have to get some stuff out of there this weekend, so I don't know if anybody's available. Bobby's on the injured reserve. But
What's got to come out?
the stuff that's in the existing clerk, the old clerk's office has to come out. It's all the paper. Everything else has been cleared. Thank you to the Highway Department. They were there en masse last week and got rid of everything that wasn't nailed down, excluding the papers that the clerk's office needs to go
Has
through.
anybody talked to Mark Forlow about those papers? Maybe he wants to go through them.
You know, there's a lot of very old
Yeah.
papers
Yeah,
there.
so I mean,
I was even thinking about the Putnam County Historical Society.
Mark's our historian, so
Yeah.
if you want to give him a call next week and say, you want to come down and take a look at this stuff and see what's,
Yeah, I mean, there's letters from Hamilton Fish, everything in there.
yeah.
Well, it's gonna be at the VFW because we gotta get it out of
I know,
the old.
I need help with the safe.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We have room down here, Johnny, to put all that stuff?
A what?
Do we have enough room in the VFW?
We have no
house it?
choice. We're gonna have to stack it up in the middle of the floor.
How about the
there's-
staging?
There's not a whole lot. The
There's
stage
not
is
that many.
pretty much packed,
Yeah,
right?
but there's not that many boxes. I was
Okay.
there
No,
today.
it's not.
Yeah, we
All
brought
right, because I
bulk of
was
it
in there the
down.
other day, I
Yeah,
saw an
one
awful
day,
lot of
so-
stuff in there.
I
Okay.
mean, give me a call, I'll come over.
Yeah, I'll give you
And
that.
are you available Saturday, if we can do it Saturday morning? If you gotta get the safe, you have to get us in the safe.
Yeah.
So either that or maybe tomorrow afternoon, but I'll talk to you
It'll be
tomorrow.
tomorrow afternoon for me.
No.
I'm happy to move that.
Well, the
safe.
safe, I only need you for the safe.
Yeah.
The other
Put it on
stuff
his
I can
back.
just bring down.
Carry it down. Got a couple special, we got those 4-arm forklifts for the safe, right?
Yeah, we're gonna drag it right out of there. Gonna hook my truck on it.
All right. At any rate, the work is underway at Town Hall, so we're looking forward to,
Yeah, well, Robert, like talking about that, I finally got in touch with Optimum, and I met the right guys finally up there to get that cabinet moved.
Yeah.
So it's in engineering now, so they don't see it as being a big issue to get it done. Hopefully, within a 2-week time frame, we'll get that out of there and move it down to
You
the,
just can't be there next week, the week of the hazardous abatement, nobody can be in the
okay,
building.
just,
So whenever they're done, and
we can
then
do it after that.
the week after that is
Okay.
when the general construction will begin, and that's, it needs to get out of there.
Okay,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
yeah, no, because we're going to temporarily put it in the basement of the building department.
Right.
And then once we move the town hall back to where it is, so I can leave the fiber, we'll just run a new fiber optic line from between the two buildings up to where it needs to go.
And there is
And we'll be all
conduit.
set to go, so it should be good.
all right.
Highway, you
What's that, Dean?
forgot the highway report.
Oh, yeah.
Highway.
Jumped right over my highway.
Oh, sorry about that. Jeez.
Philipstown Town Board, Carl Frazenda, work performed by the Philipstown Highway Department for the month of November. We hope everyone enjoyed the Thanksgiving holiday. The highway crews are out there spot grading, repairing drains, patching blacktop roads, clearing waterways and leaves. We will continue to repair potholes on both the blacktop and dirt roads, weather permitting. This time of year, the shop is very busy doing maintenance on the plows and sanders for the snow removal season. Mid-month brought on the first need for salt and sanding of the roads without much fanfare. We should be so lucky to keep this up all season. Unfortunately, they weren't.
The luck ran out.
Highway bids were opened on November 20th. Vendors will be notified once the bids have been approved. The Highway Department received 17 calls or visits regarding road complaints and issues. For November, the Highway Department spent roughly $2,600 on vehicle maintenance and repairs for the month of November. This report submitted by Carl Frazenda, Highway Superintendent.
Thank you, Carl. Cemetery Committee.
Okay, the cemetery, basically, the work in the North Highland Cemetery was the main focus over the last month, as I mentioned in other months. We had determined, with the help of the stonemason, that because of structural problems, we needed to move out of the village cemeteries and go work in the North Highland Cemetery off Horton Road. A good piece of work got accomplished before the snow. Holes that were necessary and so forth were hand dug. That area up top there is very difficult to get machinery in. So the stonemason with his crew pretty much used a lot of, wenches and so forth to try to, some of those stones are extremely big and heavy. However, there were a lot of foundation work that was done. Unfortunately, some graves may not be able to be repaired. Obviously, certain ones had fallen over, and this was the urgency that we spoke about in the past, and the stonemason agreed that clearly it required us going in there quickly. Besides that, obviously a lot of gravel, stone and concrete foundations had to be redone fully before the headstones could be reset. So they did a great deal of work there in a short amount of time, so they should be congratulated for taking care of some real risky stones that we had as problems there. And basically, we'll have to evaluate whether we're going to do additional work in the spring, but it's my opinion that we probably will stay there because we want to take care of anything that's urgent there prior to going back to the two village cemeteries, which clearly still need work. So we did not forget about those. It's just we're trying to take care of urgent matters right now. And that's it.
Terrific, thanks, Mike. Before we get onto the agenda, since this is Town Clerk Mirando's final official town board meeting, you'll still have the fun of the year-end meeting. I know you're looking forward to that. But I just want to offer my personal thanks to Tina. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years, and I think you've been an excellent clerk for the town board and for the whole town. But my thanks to you.
Thank you.
I agree,
It's
Tina.
terrific.
You've been a pleasure to work with for me. Anything I've ever asked, you've done it and got it accomplished. And I appreciate all the service you did to the town for how many years now, Tina?
26.
Oh, my God.
26
God
years.
bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank
You did
you.
a great job.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, we'll turn the agenda over. Oh, Putnam County Legislator, oh my God. Well, you're all dressed
I
up
am, I'm
for,
sorry about my attire, but it was cold out, and it was a really nice tree lighting just now at Winter Hill, and the whole community came together. Walter Hoving sang some Christmas carols, and the tree is absolutely beautiful. Chris Buck, who's so generous, said some beautiful words that I hope to get a copy of and share because they were so unbelievable. So just Putnam County Legislative Report, things that the legislature's working on, and then there's things that I'm working on. There was a presentation by Amoresco, which is the company that the county contracted with to complete the investment grade audit of all our county facilities. They prepared the scope and cost of the project and presented that last week to the legislature. That meeting, the audio is available on the Putnam County website if anybody is interested. It is a big project. It's over $7 million. So, we'll be talking a lot about that in the future, and hopefully incorporate some way, if it ever gets off the ground, Climate Smart Task Force, which I have yet to see it been established. So again, I still am trying to fight for that and keep that, at the forefront. Also, Putnam County is accepting applications for their 2020 pilot program student internship program. This is a great opportunity. They accept students to gain hands-on professional experience in areas such as finance, criminal justice, engineering, communications, information technology, law, health, psychology, and more. So if anyone is interested, please contact, you can contact me at putcoledge at putnamcountyny.com or call the legislative office at 845-808-1020. I hope that's right.
How old do you, is there an age?
I can get you all that info,
Thank you.
sure. And I've been working closely with Danielle, establishing meetings with her to try to, bridge the gap between the county and Philipstown. We met with the Commissioner of Mental Health today at the Philipstown Behavioral Health Hub. It was really nice to have Mike Piazza come over and sit down with Danielle and talk about different opportunities that might be available for the hub through, funding and different grant opportunities. And we continue to just try to bring Danielle into the fold of different county programs, like the Women's Resource Center. We're gonna meet with them. Search for Hope is another organization. I attended a meeting last night where actually the mental health organization rolled out their co-occurring system of care plan. This is something not really new to mental health, but it's something that we've been lacking in treating co-occurring disorders. So Putnam County brought out every provider in the county to come to the table to discuss a system that will work, where if you have a mental health facility and an addiction facility, usually if it's a mental health facility, if there's an addiction involved, it used to be that they would turn them away. That's no longer happening. We recognize that these are usually one goes with the other, and they've developed a system to make it work for everybody. And also I had Cornell Cooperative Extension come over to this side of the county and do a tour of some kitchen facilities to hopefully have them run some programs over here in the near future. So any questions, anything you want me to work on over there? Can I help in any way?
I would just like to, I attended the full legislature meeting on Tuesday night, and I would encourage everyone from Philipstown, District 1, to attend these meetings. Nancy is in a tough position, I think, being 8 Democrats, and I don't get, or 8 Republicans, 1 Democrat. I don't get involved with politics too often, but it seems like party politics are pretty rough, and Nancy's getting beat up. So I think we need to support her a little bit. And I also think that there seems to be a press against the sheriff, and that's my opinion, my own opinion. But I think that, it's hard to forecast overtime.
Yeah.
Especially in emergency services. When an emergency happens, it's just that. It's an emergency. And for him to try to budget overtime, it'd be very tough with what he was up against. For instance, like the snowstorm this weekend, our guys were out for 50 hours. There's no way to forecast that, and it happens. So I would encourage people to go to these legislature meetings and sit in there and listen to what's going on. That would be my encouragement.
If I may respond to that, Supervisor. And thank you very much, Councilman Van Tassel, for coming over to attend the meeting. That was pretty mild, what you saw. And for recognizing the elephant in the room. And yes, I believe now, as you have pointed out, and it's a hard thing to say, nobody wants to point this out, but it's obvious that this is politics, playing politics with public safety. That's what I'm recognizing. Of course, we have to be fiscally responsible and pay attention to budgets and recognize overtime, but the amount of scrutiny that I see that this sheriff is under in regard to his budget, where other departments don't fall under the same scrutiny. It's fine to have new hires, purchasing things that seem to be unnecessary. Throughout the year that I've been involved, the sheriff's salary, the sheriff's budget was brought to the table in 2018, and the sheriff himself said in 2018, we're going to run at a deficit, if we continue like this. And the legislature said to him, no new hires. So therefore, unfortunately, the budget he presented was based on a full staff. Unfortunately, he had three deputies in training. That takes 3 off the road. People need to cover that. It's not like you can't put somebody in those positions. So overtime was incurred. Overtime was incurred in every department. I just saw a budget transfer before me for the highway department. Same kind of transfers, taking from one budget line, putting in it another, and I don't see the same scrutiny. So,
Well, for instance, they were complimenting him on the way that the two departments, the Carmel Police and the Sheriff's Department, handled that.
there was an
hostage
awful
situ-
incident. There was a terrible incident, very dangerous incident, where they got national attention with vigilantes coming out of the woodwork on Facebook, and it was pretty scary.
And I'm sure the overtime was accumulated that night, but you have no choice. You have
Right.
to provide the service. You have to put the officers there. You can't say, okay, you guys got to go home, your shift is done. I mean, they had to stay. So it was odd the way that they were complimenting him, and then the other hand,
And a
saying-
lot of the overtime is incurred with county events, like
Sure.
concerts.
as they had 2 officers sitting in the back of the room that night. So I'm sure that was overtime.
So it does seem unnecessary scrutiny, of course. Again, yes, we have to be responsible and pay attention to our budgets and be,
Of course.
and I think, there improvement can happen, but the amount of scrutiny that I see certainly appears to be playing politics in this year before an election of our sheriff. So he's doing a great job. It's wonderful to work with, level-headed, even-keeled. It's just,
I agree.
I
And
mean,
he's
I'm
got
very-
the staff he's got with him, the captains are all top-notch
Yep.
people, and so.
So, thank you for coming out to support us, and again, Merry Christmas to all of you.
Yeah, Merry
Tina, thank you so much for your 26 years of service and excellent service to our community. You'll be missed. Thanks.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about the sheriff is, I think everybody recognizes it's an extremely difficult position, and you don't want to have the people on the legislature setting you up for failure and playing politics with it. It's just not right. Like you say, there's no way to predict emergencies, and it'd be scorched earth if something happened and they weren't there. You want to talk about setting somebody up.
I forgot to mention, and I'm sorry, one of the really important things that the sheriff's working on and I'm fighting for is this sergeant's position that oversees the SPOs and the SROs. It's a great program at the Sheriff's Department. Again, as I said last night at the meeting, the Sheriff's Department is underfunded and understaffed. You can't have one supervisor for all these SPOs and SROs. These guys deserve to have a supervisor to look to, and they don't.
It's a specialty.
It's a specialty.
It is, yeah.
And again, it's underfunded and understaffed.
And
If you
these are
look at,
things that the public demands. It's not, there's not any fluff there. People want SROs. They want them in the schools, and
I love it.
that's
I
it.
love the fact that they're there.
Yeah.
Excess sales tax money, too.
Yeah, maybe some of that excess sales tax money we don't see could go to the sheriff. At least we'd know where it was going. Maybe they ought to concentrate on that a little more than busting hump on the sheriff. But- All right, on to the agenda.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is a resolution awarding the 2020 highway material bids. And this is Carl Frisenda reviewed everything, and these are his recommendations.
All right, I had an opportunity to review it also earlier, and obviously Carl goes for low bid, or sometimes we're going for location bids, because we find that sometimes low bids on things that we have to pick up are so far away that it winds up costing us more money, so. Could I get a motion on the resolution awarding the 2020 highway materials bids?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Our thanks to Carl.
Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the 2020 contract between the town and the Putnam County Office for Senior Resources for the outreach worker in the amount not to exceed $15,000 for fiscal year 2020.
All right, this is something we do every year for the outreach worker, and we're happy to do it again this year. Could I get a motion on the resolution authorizing me to sign that 2020 contract?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
The next item, a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the addendum to the standard form agreement between the town and the contractor PVS Construction LLC for the renovations to the Philipstown Town Hall, and this is a roll call vote.
Okay, this was a clarification on the contract with the winning contractor for the town bid. It was about a start date and the time period they'll have to complete the work. And then there was also a clause in there about change orders, because there was some,
In the bond.
yeah, the bond, the form of the bond was for less money, but also, and the purchase of the elevator came into this too, about the terms. So, Steve Gaba had handled this for us. We went round and round with it, so we're feeling pretty comfortable at this time. And having met with the contractor on multiple occasions, I feel good about the choice we've made.
So he thinks he can get it done within the timeframe.
He does. Yep, but it's from the start date, not the signing of the original contract. So, with that, can I get a motion on the resolution authorizing me to sign the addendum to the standard form contract?
So moved.
Second. Roll call. Councilwoman Farrell.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Van Tassel.
Aye.
Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign a filming permit for CNE Productions LLC for a filming event at 15 Kings Dock Road, Garrison, on November 7th, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and this is Nunc Pro Tunc.
Well, how are John and I going to appear in this?
Whoops.
I never got notified.
Must have missed my call.
Well, as long as we collected the fee, that's what we like. This area has become extremely hot for filming. My wife was actually an extra in something. It was billions. I think she got discovered. Could I get a motion on the resolution authorizing to sign that filming permit Nunc Pro Tunc?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
And the next is a resolution authorizing Carl Frisenda, Highway Superintendent, to purchase a truck, cab, chassis, and body as approved for the 2020 budget.
All right. Can't get around without trucks. It's good that little by little we are knocking off the aging fleet. A lot of the trucks we had were in excess of 20 years old, and anything that's a highway truck that's 20 years old is a hazard, especially with the amount of salt that we throw around. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution authorizing the highway super to purchase the truck, cab, and chassis?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. One thing I did note during this snowstorm that's discouraging is before the snow hits the ground, dry pavement, county truck running up and down 9D. Stone dry pavement. And salt flying out the back like nobody's business, and then running back and plowing the salt off the road. And then back and forth the entire day, whether there was not a drop of snow on the ground. It's just insane. You know, Everybody complains about the shape of the roads. Well, it doesn't help to run a plow up a dry road. It just destroys them. And the amount of salt that went on that road that day is unconscionable. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's no explaining to me when I sit there in the front row and watch this over and over and over, sparks flying off the plow when there's nothing on the road, not a flake. I just don't get it. So I did have to mention that, being that I see it constantly. Route 9D,
Route 9D.
I
He
mean,
was watching from his front porch.
bone dry road. County plow truck. State road, the county has a contract to plow it, they get paid by the state, but it's like a game to get rid of salt. And I know guys love overtime.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I thought they
That was
did
by
something.
accident.
And the road is just getting destroyed. Yeah, I mean, these are not little plows. So, it's just, and you know, you're so close to the Hudson. And it's just, there goes the salt. You know, and it's not pounds of salt, it's tons of salt. Because every one of those trucks holds 10 tons. And if it's going by, you see it full, and then you see it empty, then you see it full again. You know, that's a lot of salt. You're talking about 20,000 pounds, 40,000 pounds of salt. There's consequences for this stuff, so, in all forms. The shape of the roads, the shape of the environment is not right. So, all right, we gotta schedule some meetings. Upcoming, the very exciting year-end meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I-
That's when Tina has to read those bids, right?
Look at Teresa and Tina, they're just like, you're,
Tina's not gonna
can't
be
even stay in
here.
your chairs with the excitement here.
Yeah.
Well, Teresa's got to read.
Year-end meeting, December 18th, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Good, you better be.
Weren't we supposed to meet on the 11th for the 5G or something like that? I wrote down.
Yeah, that's a workshop with Paul.
It's a workshop,
Yeah.
that's a
11th.
reschedule.
Is
Oh,
that going to be here?
Are we doing that next week or no?
We are,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm game.
Good. The reorg, January 2nd. Man, oh, man.
Move that?
January 2nd, that's a Thursday.
Can we move to the next week?
Isn't that
I don't know, is it possible to do it the following week?
Not my call.
I hereby authorize it. I would like to move it January 2nd. I mean, I don't know, what does everybody think?
Is that a
I
Wednesday?
think it should, yeah, if we can move it, I think that would,
Well, we're supposed to have a regular town board meeting that night, too.
I mean, you're
right?
not gonna get anybody there, that's for
No.
sure.
no.
Do we ever have anybody?
You're not gonna get a crowd like tonight, is what I'm
It's a
saying.
Thursday. It's a
Yeah, that's
Thursday.
it.
Kim will be there. That's all that matters.
Dedication.
Get paid.
Right. Live for this.
Is it to the ninth, right?
The following Wednesday would be the 8th.
Okay.
Let's move it to the following, the reorg, move it to the following Wednesday, yes.
And then the
Can we
reg- and
go
then-
ahead and do that, Tina?
Wednesday?
Wednesday, January 8th.
And then the regular meeting would be Thursday, the 9th?
Yep.
We
Ninth?
usually do them together.
Well, let's do it together. Let's do it on the 9th.
After the 9th.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And it starts at 7.
7 PM.
7 o'clock.
Remember that. Don't go showing up at 7:30 and think you're going to get in. 7 PM.
Look at how much they'll miss too, a half an hour.
And so we're going to move the monthly town board meeting to the 9th also. And we'll all be freshly sworn in and looking our smartest. Okay.
Okay, the next item is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report. The fees collected was $16,336.68. There were 26 permits issued, 2 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 24 all other permits, pools, sheds, decks, plumbing, HVAC, etc., 23 COs issued, and 2 stop work orders issued.
All right. Our
We
thanks
don't
to,
have anything from the village, they didn't send anything.
yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Regarding other business, county legislator Montgomery and I met with a group of Garrison residents from the Hamlet area of Garrison who raised a lot of concerns about things over there. I never got the minutes, though, did he? There was a promise somebody would produce minutes. I never got them.
From our meeting?
Yeah, somebody said. But at any rate, I followed up with Max Garfinkel about the one concern about people putting fill too close to the wetland there. I did get in touch with Jerry Shapiro. I sent you an email, so all right, good. So we'll be meeting with Jerry Shapiro from the post office. There's just been a chronic problem making promises that they will mitigate certain things like early morning truck traffic, which nobody appreciates when trucks pull in at before 4 o'clock in the morning, start slamming down the gates, lifting up the tails, and leaving the trucks running, people talking loud. It's a quality of life issue down there. It's unacceptable. The fencing, the lighting, they haven't really addressed anything. You know, and it's been 5-6 years of this. Yeah, and they make the promises, and they're going to do it, and then they just don't. So we're going to hopefully get this resolved this time, or things are going to get ugly. So, yeah, that was the initial hope that when the Butterfield project got underway that they would head back there, but that's not happening.
I don't think that facility's equipped, really.
No, they can't handle anything there.
Well, they should have equipped it. They should have. No.
Parking is crazy.
Yeah. So, but hopefully we can get that resolved for them. There were a couple other concerns that we're going to be working on also, but I was surprised at the number of individual concerns, a little overwhelming. But we will get to the post office thing because that does need to be handled. It's just ridiculous. It's been this long and you assume things are happening and then they're not. Yeah. Well, it's not for lack of trying.
No,
I mean,
been going on for
it's
years.
frustrating. You know, everybody's had a crack at it. And
Goon
it's, yeah, great. And then it's,
Goon squad, maybe?
apparently they know Bobby's injured. Otherwise, I think, no, I don't want that to get out.
He looks good still.
It's good.
You guys look so handsome, you should go to sleep.
Still throw it. So, my thanks to County Legislator Montgomery for bringing those people in and arranging that meeting, because it's good to hear from people, even if they are mad at you. Anything else from the board? Everybody.
I just, the med box return,
Right,
I'm
right.
waiting for Sheriff Smith to call me back, but
No, not Sheriff Smith. You're going to wait a
Sheriff
long
Smith,
time.
oh my God. That was the slip. Sorry. Sheriff Langley. We're going to put the med box at the VFW in the hallway. I met with Kim and her contractor, Russell. We're going to mount it to the floor. We got a camera going in, and there's an alarm system going on the door. So that was the requirements, but before we do anything or spend any money, I need to speak with him and make sure that it's acceptable. So I reached out to him. I haven't heard back from him, but I'm sure, I know he's a little bit busy. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had given me the requirements, and that was the guidelines that he had requested. So hopefully, we're going to meet them all now, and because it's needed, it's in demand. And as you guys know, it was used.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day, people coming in now.
Well, looking for it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's sort of the least we can do. So let's get it
So
done.
it's in Nelsonville at the substation. I just got to bolt it down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
How about
thank
you,
you.
Bob? What do you got?
Well, me and Johnny met any waste vendor a couple weeks ago up to the landfill. Anyway, there's a lot to it than just dropping stuff off. We gotta discuss it at some point in time if we're gonna go back into that business or not. But it's, we did meet with them up there. They have fees, of course, that they need. They get, 35 cents a pound, I think is what they charge.
Right.
Right,
So
and then.
we would have to charge.
We would have to charge people for it, but then we gotta figure out, we have to have someone up there collecting money, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, to have them, give them something that,
No, it might be
you
better
know.
to get a voucher.
Wow, so
would
I'm
have to-
possibly thinking of something. Anyway, we met with them, we have to come up with a workshop or something and discuss it
right.
in further detail.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I attended 2 Climate Smart meetings. One of them was on November 13th at the Cortland Town Hall. This is a community conversation on climate change. What can be done to make a difference? This was sponsored by Assemblywoman Sandy Galiff. We had, in addition to her speaking, 4 other members, the DEC, NYSERDA, Environmental Advocates of New York, and the president and the CEO of Uptus Insights. Basically, Sandy started by talking about the plastic bag, the single-use plastic bag restriction. I could tell you from personal knowledge, the communities that have done this have seen some dramatic differences in plastic blowing around and being around the areas and so forth, and this is a real winner. Also, they passed the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act. They have quickly, I mean, without going into a lot of detail, the state has put before them some very, what I feel at least, is some very aggressive goals to meet by 2030 and certainly by 2050, where they clearly believe to be zero carbon net. Now, the problem I have, one of the questions that I put forward but there wasn't time to discuss is, how are we going to meet those kind of goals if we're building brand-new fossil fuel plants in the state? And in this area, where our air quality is unacceptable according to the Lung Association. So, you know, it was quite sobering to listen to a lot of the statistics and issues that are going on. Clearly, requires a multi-pronged response to this in many different areas. It's very disappointing also for me personally, to see other countries, small little countries like Ireland and Scotland, putting in 22 million trees a year in those little countries, and we have no program in this country. And having to read also about a country such as China, which is actually using their military to plant trees, and again, we have no program here. But anyway, the state has some aggressive goals, and I think the only way that's going to happen clearly is if there's a statewide and then hopefully a federal-wide wake-up call to this, or else I don't personally see how we're going to meet those goals if we build fossil plants. We have to, this state especially I think, can stay away from that. We have a tremendous amount, not just solar and wind capability, but we have a lot of hydro, not just in the state, but also through Canada. And I think we should really seriously think twice about building these. These plants will be expected by these owners to be operational from 30 to 50 years. They're not going to be run for 10 years and shut down unless we're willing as taxpayers to pay to shut them down at a big cost. And the state is over $6 billion in debt, so we're not going to be able to be doing this. So we have to start to really take some strong steps in regards to these areas. So, but I think it was a very good step, and hopefully those kinds of meetings will continue further. The next day, on the 14th, I attended a meeting put on by the Philipstown Garden Club in regards to composting, and it was a very good meeting. Obviously, there were a number of people there that had experience individually with compost. That particular, we also discussed the Ulster County Organics Recycling Plant, which now accepts materials throughout the area, and how long will they, and then, you know, will there be any others, and so forth. But it was a very good discussion, which actually went into the evening, too, because that evening we had our own Climate Smart meeting right here, and some of those speakers I had asked to come and speak to the people, and they did, and it really energized our members to the point where we made a decision that in addition to doing the refrigerant management, which is a critical issue for this country to resolve, we are going to be working with that. The board has approved that, and we'll be working as an educational program to this town, the beginning of the year with that. But right behind that is composting. We feel we can make a lot of solid ground here. We've got a lot of good people that have already worked in this area, and we think we can make some real strides in this. So I think we're moving, our town, I feel, is really moving in a very positive direction in this area. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for your efforts on that. Judy?
I think 150 people enrolled in the Hudson Valley Community Solar, so we will be getting several $1,000s for that program, which is great.
Yeah, we had some very ambitious goals there, and they were met. I mean, we took up most of the spots, so that was encouraging. After that one evening, we had a good turnout down there at Dolly's that evening. So
And there's another one coming up at Industrial Arts. I think
that's the
Yes,
celebration
that's
party.
next
That's what I'm going to sign up
December
for.
10th or 11th?
11th.
11th.
Yep. I just said, will there be beer? And they said yes, and I said, I'm counting me in.
We count.
One more thing, I'd like to thank the Philipstown Recreation staff and John Van Tassel and Bob for the senior luncheon on November 20th. I think it was very celebratory, and legislator Nancy Montgomery. The seniors loved it, and the feedback's been positive. And I think,
It was well attended.
yes, it was well attended, over 80
We're glad to
seniors.
do it. We're going to keep doing it. Yep, that's great. All right, Tim, you got something, or?
Yes, I'm actually paying much closer attention to senior luncheons as I get closer to it.
All right.
Yeah, a couple of things. The first one is,
You want to come up to the mic?
Please.
the first one is Tina and Andy, both incredibly involved in the community.
Yep.
Two different sides of the aisles. A really great model that has always worked, and you deserve the tribute, and you're a really good model to follow, you and Andy. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a year-end report on what I'm trying to get going with the garden. Thank you, Judy. We had a meeting last night. I just wanted to give our little perspective and an explanation, if you will. In the first two meetings that we had, and we're going to have another one in January. A date was scheduled, and we're just going to try and confirm it. And I think we're making progress.
When you say we're having a meeting, who's having a meeting?
Oh, yeah, the Rec Commission has asked if we could get another meeting together, and yeah, of course, we want to.
Yep,
I think we're going to, we're making progress.
all right.
And that's really what I wanted to just bring up. In the first two meetings, the questions were asked, who's interested in this idea? And then, after the article was in the paper, we were asked, a series of questions, and there was erroneous information on what we were trying to do at New Leaf Restoration. We put a website together. The website was an open response to that, the question of who's interested, how do we get the information out? I did a presentation at Butterfield. I did a presentation with the Audubon, with people who are really interested in this. There's nothing on there that has changed except for one aspect. So it's basically the same 2.0 acres that we would look to as something down the road if we were to expand and be successful. We are not looking to go in and grab let me be clear, I've cut 2.0 acres for years, and it's a lot of land. But we haven't changed anything other than suggesting a teen garden after speaking with someone in the mental health field about what can we do to create an alternative for people who aren't on ball teams, who might want to do something else, and give them a space too. And that's the only other piece that we've added in. And I just wanted to share that with you because at the end of the year, there is a website. It only has our information. We didn't talk about anybody else's, and the word proposal is on there 5 times in the site and 2 times in the plan. So it's really an exploration. I just wanted to share that with you because, look, I didn't come at this from, I don't have an axe to grind,
Right.
and I wanted to share that with you at the end of the year. I wanted to thank you for trying to help us get something done on it, too.
All right. Well, thank you for your efforts, and I'm sure ultimately it's going to be successful.
We're working on it, and but I tip my cap again. We've seen this for years, and it's a great model. We actually need that model working going forward. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.
Can I just say something?
Sure, Tina, absolutely.
All right, I'm not really prepared for this, but, for 26 years, I've met some wonderful people. I've had great experiences. I learned a lot. I'm going to miss it. You know, I met great council people, great town attorneys, everybody. And, well, I enjoyed it. And I'll see you around anyway.
Yeah, you will. Well, thank you, Tina. All right, vacancies, looks like we're not going to have a vacancy on the Recreation Commission, so that's good.
Don't we still have one on the planning now with Andy leaving? Do we have one? or
We do, and we're probably going to have more. So we got to talk about appointing a permanent chairperson. Approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Highway,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Continental Village Park District,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Continental Village Water District,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Repeat that the climate thing from Sandy will be on YouTube? It's already listed on YouTube.
Oh, okay. The meeting that I had spoken about on November 13th regarding Town Hall, Cortland Town Hall meeting about the community conversation on climate change will be on YouTube and available. I would strongly recommend that you watch it because it was very informative. Thank you.
Terrific, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Done.